Good evening and welcome to the Friday edition of Uctv News. I'm Sunday Gloria Borch. Now, as we mark the 33rd anniversary of the passing on of His Grace, Cardinal Emmanuel Nsubga, who reflects on a legacy that is renowned for his profound devotion to the Uganda matters. Cardinal Nsubga's spiritual leadership and steadfast faith have left a mark on the heart of the Catholic Church and so many people. Now, today, Father Richard Nyombi of the Missionaries of Africa takes us through the life of Cardinal Nsubga.
This year marks 33 years since the passing of a towering figure in the spiritual landscape of Uganda, His Grace Cardinal Emmanuel Nsubga. Today, we remember his remarkable journey and enduring legacy. Born on November 5, 1914, in the village of Chisule, Mityana, His Grace Cardinal Emmanuel Nsubga was the first of his family to enter priesthood. His spiritual journey began at the age of 16, leading him through the years of dedication and service, culminating into his ordination as a priest on December 14, 1946.
We see him in Bukalasa in 1930. And that's where he went for his minor seminary, and he then continues his formation in the seminary. And in 1946, on the 15th of December, he will be ordained priest in Lubaga. And this date of 15th December is marked in the Archdiocese of Kampala every year. That's the day for all the priests who are working in the Archdiocese, but it is especially in memory of him. That's the date of his ordination, but also, of course, then later it is going to happen to be the birthday of the Cardinal Wamala. Immediately after his ordination, he was appointed in Mubende Parish, which is, at that time it was in the same diocese, but now Mubende is in Kiyinda, Mityana.
His commitment to his faith and his continuity saw him rise to become the first Archbishop of the newly created Diocese of Kampala in 1966, a significant moment in Uganda's religious history.
1956 to 61, he will be in Konge Parish, and he was there in Konge when he's going to be given that news that he was appointed to become a vicar, and then eventually he will become a bishop. So he's going to be appointed Vicar General of the new Archbishop of Kampala. That time it was Rubaga. That was the late Chiwanuka, Archbishop Chiwanuka. And then when Chiwanuka dies in 1966, he's going to replace him as the Archbishop. And this time he will be even the first Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, because at that time Jinja is going to be born as Jinja Diocese, and then Kampala Archdiocese is going to take the part of Kampala, which at that time before was being under Nsambya, as at that time people were talking. So he will be the first Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese in 1966.
Cardinal Nsubga was known not just for his spiritual guidance, but also for his courage. During the hard times under dictatorship regimes, he was a vocal critic of human rights abuses, urging the clergy under his leadership to provide sanctuary to those persecuted.
His time as Archbishop is going to be marked by political instability in this country. In 66, the Obote is going to take over, and then in 71, Idi Amin is going to take over. Then in 79, 80, again there will be another change in the leadership of this country, and he will still be the Archbishop. And all those times which followed, he was going to face it, and through all that we are going to see a man who is full of faith, a man who has a strong devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary, a man who has a strong devotion to the Uganda martyrs, and also to add on, a man who had a very strong devotion to Mapera. And I think all those strong characters helped him to face this situation with courage, but also with deep faith.
His leadership extended beyond the pulpit. He was a beacon of hope with a strong devotion to the Uganda matters.
He is a man that we can look at and reflect on his life and to see what he did to promote the devotion of the Uganda matters, to promote the sites connected to the Uganda matters for the pilgrimage, to see that they are known, they are loved, but mostly they are taken as models of their faith. When we see the shrine in Namugongo, he's very key. He's the one who is going to start that work of constructing that shrine. So each time we see it, we remember him.
The late Cardinal Nsubuga also founded many institutions like the St. Mbaga and the Brothers of Emmaus. This place stands as a testament to his undying compassion and commitment to serving people.
It is remembered that he founded some of the key institutions that we have in the Archdiocese, but which are not only serving the Archdiocese, but the whole of Uganda. We have St. Mbaga Seminary, he's the founder of that. Then we have also the Good Samaritan Sisters of Narukolongo. He's also the founder of that institute. Then he's also the founder of the Brothers of Emmaus. So we see a man who was really devoted to see that the church grows and the church is at the service of the people, especially a people who is suffering.
Cardinal Nsubuga passed away on April 20th, 1991, and he was laid to rest at the Bakateyamba home in Nalukolongo, close to those he served faithfully. His vision lives on, his deeds resonates through the lives he touched, and his spirit endures in the hearts of many. Nora Osende, Uctv News.
And to other stories, the leadership of the Uganda Manufacturers Association UMA has tasked the tax body URA to suspend the $6 million per invoice tax penalty attached to the controversial electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, also known as IFRIS. This was disclosed by the UMA Chairman Board of Directors, Adewo Kayemba, while addressing journalists at the headquarters in Kampala today.
During a press conference, Kayemba appreciated Uganda Revenue Authority for rolling out the IFRIS system, given that it ensures taxation compliance amongst the business community. However, he distinctively advised URA to suspend the controversial $6 million per invoice tax penalty until there has been a thorough sensitization amongst the business community for at least 1 year.
We therefore propose that the trade sector should be given a moratorium of up to June 2024, at the beginning of the new financial year, to allow them to run down their stock that they may have come in without complying with IFRIS. Because if you have stock that you have acquired without taking it through IFRIS, then you have a very big tax burden to pay the entire VAT. You don't have any input to offset your VAT output. That the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should drop the IFRIS related penalties that were issued against all traders and manufacturers.
In the same vein, Kayemba advised the government to consider equipping the business community with required electronic gadgets before implementing such policies, other than lashing at the non-compliant stakeholders.
CURA, government, bwebe planning omusolo mpya ate okugenda okuimprovinga okutumbula enkuŋŋaanya y'omusolo naye teekemu tubagamba nabo bakole ki bateekemu batuwe ebyuma bayinza okuba nga tebalina ssente za kuteekamu kati naye basobola otugamba nti gwe gula akuuma kano buli mwezi tujja kuddizangayo ki ssente bwe ziti okutuusa ssente z'akuuma nga ziweddewo.
Kayemba concluded by revealing their proposal for the establishment of a competition commission to address the issues of market competition disparities at the regional level.
We are being undermined at the EAC level. So we call upon our ministry, the Ministry of East Africa, our ministry, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Trade and Cooperatives, to look at these issues when they go to Arusha in the Council of Ministers. Our observation that these matters have not been given due consideration in the past. That you notice that the representation from the various ministries is minimal. So we request that the government runs with this to put us back to competitive level with our partner states. And we request His Excellency the President that when he goes to the summit of heads of states, he addresses these issues.
This follows a subsequent ongoing protest among the business community over the controversial taxation policies and their implementation for the past 4 days, upon which the President invited the traders to Entebbe State House today for a dialogue about their grievances. Their provisional developments indicate that the meeting was a little delayed by the President, who had been preoccupied by unknown official errands. The details from the meeting shall be brought to you in our subsequent news bulletin. Report compiled by Joseph Kabali for Uctv News.
Parliament, chaired by its Speaker, Right Honourable Anita Among, has passed the Registration of Person Amendment Bill 2024, which delegates the powers to the National Identification Registration Authority, NIRA, headed by the Minister of Interior, to integrate people, as has been done by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and its other functions will now be done by NIRA.
Policy in any government is sensitized to the population gradually, which is not happening in our country. They usually use what we call the SWOT analysis to look at the strengths of the tax, the weakness of the tax, the opportunity of the tax, and then the threats. But in our country, Uganda, things are totally different because we are in an abnormal situation. That's why we are having abnormal taxes, since the situation is totally...
Which taxes are abnormal?
Right, Honourable Speaker.
You mean this house is abnormal?
No, Right, Honourable.
And when you borrow, you have to pay back with interest. Where do you get the money to pay back? You use your tax revenues. And after you have paid from your tax revenues, then you remain with very limited discretionary resources, from which you actually pay wages, etc. So how to get out of this quagmire is by maximizing your tax revenues. And this is where the devil is, because for a long time, our tax to GDP ratio has been hovering around 13%, far lower than the sub-Saharan average. So in fact, on the continent, we are performing poorer than many, many other countries. You feel that we are overtaxed, but we are not yet able, to mobilize the resources almost equivalent to the sub-Saharan average. And it's a challenge for us because the tax effort is still very low. Now, this IFRIS measure is intended to broaden the tax base. People who have been running away from paying tax, this is when we get them to actually pay tax. And the advantages to this, when you pay VAT, because VAT, unlike other taxes, has got the input and output component, and it's about the value added. It's not that the entire 18%, as stated, affects you. It depends on how you operate your input versus output VAT, and so on the value that is added. So the more you file, the more you take advantages of the VAT system. And the people are running away from this huge opportunity, for them to be able to claim the refunds. They are not claiming these refunds because they have failed to comply with the system. So this IFRIS is there for very good reasons. First to benefit these people themselves, but also to benefit the entire country, our economy, to be able to mobilize resources so that we limit the level of borrowing.
That's what we had for you from our local scene. Let's take a look at what is making headlines in our international news stories. As the United States has vetoed Palestine's request for full UN membership, Israel carried out a massive, a missile strike inside Iran as region braces for further escalation. Details follow. Thank you for watching Uctv News. Let's take a look at today in history. And from that segment, Uctv News takes a break. We'll be back with the Rome reports.
Uctv, good news for all.
Catch incredible stories of resilience, success.
You can manage that money
with a topping of inspiration.
Get interested in people, not interested in yourself.
Inspire, achieve, repeat.
You are watching Uctv, good news for all. For this and more, tune into Kasese Get Radio 100.5 in Western Region, located at the hill of the Diocese of Kasese. KGR brings you all Catholic programs and an advertising platform in all our radio shows like Good Morning Renzori, Chama Tohoka, Ukute, the business show, Propeller, the request show and sports, Evaluation, Bahinga Bakuluka, Late Night Show, and many others. Our other services include Isuzu Tipa, a no car, public address system, live band, Omokekera, an audio recording studio, and outside live broadcast. For more information, call 0773 597 166 or visit our website www.kasesegatradio.com. Kasesegat Radio, Omusondoria, the voice of truth.
Uctv, good news for all.
And finally, in the Uganda Matters feature, as we draw closer to the celebration of the Uganda Matters on June 3rd, starting with Saint Bruno Serunkuma, amidst the lush landscape of Masaka, the legacy of Saint Bruno Serunkuma, a respected figure in the Catholic faith, continues to inspire believers. Let's follow. Saint Bruno Serunkuma was a Muganda of the Sheep clan in Diga. His father was Namujulirwa, the county chief of Buddu, Pokino. Namujulirwa was a polygamist. Serunkuma's mother was Ndibaliza of the Monkey clan. He was born at Masaka at the site of Saza headquarters. Serunkuma was taken to King Mutesa's palace. We don't know when But we are sure that in 1876 he was at the palace with Byakwe Yamba and given the post of Chitanda outside the palace. He was one of the first pages Joseph Mukasa converted to the Catholic faith. He was violent, cruel, lived recklessly, was imprudent, and a drunkard. He strove manfully to master his temper and to control his passions. But even after baptism, Serunkuma had not yet fully mastered himself. At one occasion, King Mwanga gave him 2 beautiful girls as appreciation for his good work. Serunkuma took them home as his wives and soon made one of them pregnant. When his fellow Catholics, Charles Rwanga and Andrew Kagwa in particular, learnt of it, they worked hard to help him as a friend. He listened to their advice, called for Father Laudel, and made a sincere confession, so determined that Serunkuma left the wives and his property and went to one of the corners in the palace where he devoted himself to prayer, penance, teaching of religion, and works of mercy. This is where the Christian persecution met him. On his way to Namugongo, his brother Bossa gave him beer, but remembering the thirst of Christ on the cross, he refused it. He constantly, bravely encouraged others not to give up. He died on June 3rd, 1886. He is the patron of alcoholics, the violent, those with lust of flesh, and improper marriage. And from the sporting world, we bring you the Europa League results. And that's all we had for you this Friday edition of UCTV News. Sunday, Gloria Aboch. Now, if you're watching, I am reminding you to watch our recap of the stories that have made headlines throughout the week that will be presented by Inora Osende Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Good evening and good night.